How does Stephen King's new adaptation to the screen compare to the book? We're going to talk about that and much more in this video. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue podcast. Stephen King's The Long Walk has haunted readers for decades. This was written under his Richard Bachman pseudonym. It is one of his bleakest, most unforgiving stories. I was able to read or listen to the book a few weeks ago, as I knew that this film was coming. In this book, 100 boys are walking until only one of them survives. No breaks, no mercy, just the road and the end. Now, in 2025's Francis Lawrence, the new film, this is the director behind The Hunger Games. They finally brought The Long Walk to the big screen. Let me tell you, it is just as brutal and emotional. And although it does have some changes from King's original work, it still really holds up and it really stands out as maybe one of the most successful adaptations. In today's video, we're going to talk about all that, the review of the film, what works, the things that don't, how does it stack up against the book, and maybe some of the differences. So we'll get to all of that stuff. If you have read the novel or just watched the film, stick around because this is one adaptation that might leave you walking away with more questions than answers. So The Long Walk was originally published as a novel by Richard Bachman, which was one of the early pseudonyms that Stephen King uses. As a matter of fact, in the audiobook version that I listened to, King talks a little bit about the pseudonym and why he was using it at the time. This was directed, as I mentioned, by Francis Lawrence, and this is pretty much a dystopian thriller. I like that it's a period piece, so it's not something set in the far future or in a modern state. It just really it's an alternate history, if you will, of this country. And of course, in this film, it really is all about all these boys walking until only one of them is left standing. There's some really interesting things that we'll talk about because this whole premise of one winner as the rest of the people die, people that you make connections with, people that just the characters evolve and they're explained throughout the screen, throughout the runtime of this film. It is heartbreaking. It is full of tension. I think the pacing of this film is really interesting because it would be very easy for it to just become a little bit dull and just drone on as the boys walk, but they focus a lot on getting you through some of those steps, hopping along from one place to the other. As the walkers just kind of drop off, you don't get to see everyone get their ticket. You just kind of get to see in increments that the group gets smaller and smaller, and this just really raises the stakes, right? Because the less people there are, the closer you are to the end, so you don't know what's going to happen. It is a bleak film. It's all about the exhaustion, about the intensity of this walk, and then also it makes you wonder about what kind of world, what kind of society, without really going into too much detail, that it has an event like this that would be happening in that world. I think the film is the perfect length. It's just a little bit over an hour and a half, which is it just really works. Especially if you were doing the event where you actually had to walk and keep a consistent pace to be able to watch the film. That I believe Lionsgate made a little event for that. There are some great performances here by who I'm going to call our co-leads: Cooper Hoffman, who is Garrity, and David Johnson, who is Pete. They deliver some really intense, really great performances. I mean, they really leave it all on the screen. They make you invested in these characters because this is just a character study. Mark Hamill, of course, in the antagonist role, if you will, of the mayor, and then Judy Greer, just a really great supporting role. She's Garrity's mom, and we don't get to see and or meet a lot of the families of the other participants, but because Garrity's kind of our point of view character, we do get to dive intensely into that. So she only has a few scenes, but I think she's great in this. Really good to see Judy Greer. Um, I really enjoy this film. I've been looking forward to watching it. I had heard really good things. I think as of now on Letterboxd it's at a 3.7, which is I think fantastic. And there's just some really cool stuff. I do want to talk a little bit about some of the differences between the film and the book, but if you don't want to get into spoilers, I highly recommend it. This is one of Stephen King's just best adaptations, and I've gotten to see some great stuff this year. Life of Chuck was amazing, which is a smaller novella that was adapted, and it's really just a great performance. And I'm looking forward to The Running Man as well, which I'm planning now to start the book as well. So by the time the movie comes around, um, but yeah, spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the film, we're gonna get into a lot of some of the differences between the movie and the book. Specifically, there's some stuff towards the end, and really about the ending. So the first thing that I want to point out, the scale of the film, it's a lot smaller than the scale of the book. There are so many more characters that you get to know. Even just in the film there's only 50 walkers, whereas book it's 100 participants. They've also dropped the speed limit from 4 miles to 3 miles. I guess from the time that Stephen King wrote this to where we are now, maybe walking through 4 miles an hour is a little bit more unrealistic. I don't know what that says about society and the way we've evolved, but um, the book also has a lot more of an internal monologue and really just a lot more of exploration of the characters. There's a lot of places where there would have been crowds of people kind of looking on at the walkers go by, where the movie really narrows that down. There's a scene where Garrity goes to his own hometown. There's a big crowd there to receive him in the book, but in the adaptation of the movie, it's just really his mom. Now you still get a lot of the impact from all this, but it's really just his mom. So I think they really shrunk down this to, of course, for budgetary reasons, but also to really emphasize and focus on the characters. They also combined a few characters into, like, some of their characteristics from the book have been combined. So it's an interesting choice as well. And just the way that some of the deaths happen as well. Now, there's a lot of that in this movie, so keep that in mind as you're going in. Also, there's a bit of a revenge plot in the film that is really added, not really in the book. Gary's dad, it's a little bit more ambiguous what happens to him. He's kind of conscripted into the armed forces, but you don't really know. He's conscripted into the squads, but you don't really know what happens to him after that. It's very ambiguous. Whereas in the film, it is very clear that Mark Hamill's character killed him for speaking out and introducing ideas out that go against the rules of this society. So, and then the book ending is also very left really open ended. Garrity wins, but he kind of collapses into a bit of a madness. He has hallucinations, and it's really left very ambiguous as to what happens to the character. I went back and listened to it again because I thought I had missed something. Whereas in the film, it is very clear. Garrity and McReese are the last ones left standing, and Garrity dies. He kind of sacrifices himself so that Pete can win. Now Pete had already Garrity had told Pete about his plot to use his wish of winning the race to kill the mayor. And in this one, he does that, right? But instead, it is Pete that does it. So it's definitely a lot more um, closed off, where you really get an ending. There's not really left up to interpretation. We do see Pete kind of walking away at the end. So it's really a big thematic shift versus just the existential despair from the book versus really direct rebellion and this revenge at the end. So um I thought those were changes that they made sense. I think they also omitted some things that probably haven't aged very well from the book. So if you read it, I think the book's actually pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It's not very long. It's well paced, and it really is. Stephen King knows how to write these characters so that you'll become endeared to them. So, highly recommend that. I think this is one of the more successful adaptations. I do recommend check out the book even before watching the film because it's so different. At the end, you also feel like maybe the book did a lot of the heavy lifting for the film, but I really felt like I knew a lot of these characters very well already. So let me know which ending worked better for you. Is it Garrity's haunting collapse at the end of the book or McGree's act of rebellion in the film? Let us know down in the comments and make sure to share, like, subscribe. Um, I will be definitely reading The Running Man next, which we do have a film coming up. Also, in the future for 2026, I have read Project Hail Mary, which will be that was actually the first book that I read from this new journey that I'm on of looking at books that are soon to be adapted into films. So I'm very excited, looking forward to that. Make sure to check out that book because I think it's great. It's very different tonally from The Long Walk. But yeah, I think Stephen King has some really great bangers out there. I'm currently also listening to Fairy Tale, so that's a bit of a longer book compared to this one. But yeah, great stuff with The Long Walk. Highly recommend you check it out. If you've gotten this far in the video, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We recently crossed 500,000 subs, and remember that Stephen King has some great film adaptations. So maybe it's a fun time to go back and read some of his old works and then revisit some of the films with the new context. So as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.